much time, so I want to make sure he's got enough time to.
Alright, so my name is Josue Gonzalez, and I'll be talking about how obstacles shape us. So, why are you laughing, Cover now?
Said it with such like intensity.
Okay, well, I am talking about something very intense. Okay, so first, I would like to begin by talking about my dad. So, my dad, as I grew up, I saw him raise his kids. I saw him fix everything around the house, and everything he did found found a way to turn into life lessons that I abide by today. Um, as I grew up, I learned not to fear anything because my dad always found solutions to every problem I faced. So, um, this particular trait in him instilled in me the confidence that everything will be fine. On September 10th, 2017, Hurricane Irma hit Florida. During this time, we stayed at a hotel, and then we waited until the hurricane cleared. We returned home, and we found out that a big tree in our backyard had fallen. So we collectively, as a family, 6 of us, um, we chopped down the tree into smaller parts, and we began mounting it in the back of a truck. Uh, this process took about a week. Uh, about 3 days in, we were done with a load, and we decided to take a break. Um, we took like a 30-minute break, and I was inside my room. My dad outside with my mom, talking to my mom and my grandma, when suddenly the sounds of screaming stuffed my ears. Um, I didn't know what was going on. What could have possibly been going on? They were screaming so loud outside. So I was like, okay, let me go head out, see what's going on. So I started making my way outside. As I'm walking out, all I hear is call 911. I did not know what to think. What could have possibly been going on? So I'm thinking the worst case scenario would be my uncle choking, which had happened before, but the reactions were never call 911. It's usually screaming at him for choking. So we were like, okay, this must be serious. So I head out. I get to the outside, and then I see my dad on the floor. Um, I didn't know what to do. What could you do in that situation? I was 13 at the time. Miss Carpinelli, interrupting me.
Musical yell at the class.
Okay, I saw my dad on the floor, and all I could do was sit there as I watched my grandma give my dad mouth to mouth to see if she could get any sign of life out of him. I viewed my dad as somebody invincible, and and what happened just broke me. We called the ambulance. They got to our location. They went outside to the backyard where we were, and they told me to go inside. At the time, I was 13, so it makes sense. But as I made my way inside, they told me that I overheard that he was in critical condition. They took him to the hospital, and and I didn't allow myself to cry because I was I was I'm the youngest out of 2 kids with my mom and dad, and I saw my brother. He's 1 year older than me, and he was crying, and him crying made me feel like my dad was gonna die. So I felt like somebody needed to be strong. Um, Hold on, give me a second. Okay, so um, that night, of course, I was alone in my room, and I was reflecting on the events that had transpired, and there you go, I let it go. I cried, and that cry made me realize that the unrealistic point of view I had in life was not something that I could keep going on with. It made me realize that my parents were not eternal, and it meant in my dad in the hospital. Just the thought of that changed my whole point of view in life. My dad in a helpless state was something I never thought I'll ever see, and of course that's foolish to think, but I guess I was foolish back then. Um, uh, so I so what had happened was my dad, thankfully, he underwent surgery and he survived. But the events at the age of 13 was mostly traumatizing. Seeing your own dad have a heart attack outside, laying on the floor, is just hard. So from that point on, I continued life with the question: if my dad had died that day, what have I accomplished that he would have been proud of? I carried that mentality through a lot of my high school year. This happened in 8th grade, and this mentality was responsible for pushing me in a lot of hard situations. It drove me so much because I, along with my brother, were the only ones who truly understood how much sacrifice my parents had to go through to get us to the situation we were today. And I wanted to give them something that made them feel that the sacrifice was worth it. Is undoubtedly, it's undeniable that challenges make an individual stronger. And at the time, like I previously said, I was 13, and never have I ever experienced something closely related to death. This was hard for me to deal with, but at the same time, it built resistance and inner fortitude. I turned this obstacle into motivation towards everything, school, everything. Right now I have almost 5 GPA. Clap.
5 GPA.
Almost. Rounding up. But anyway, like I was saying, I turned it into motivation, and this good times do not drive growth like bad times do. This period in my life was hard, and everybody, I feel like, knowing how to overcome difficulty, learning from your setbacks, and profiting from mistakes is crucial to succeeding in life. So I want to say that as everybody proceeds through life, one thing everybody will go through is hardship. Life is hard, as you can see behind me. And this gift that we are given this gift that is given to us when we are born is not an easy route to the finish line. And I'm sure you're all aware at this point, from too much homework from your English teacher to something a little bit more serious like a death in the family. We all must learn how to be strong from a very early age. So, we all face challenges, and believe it or not, these challenges will mold who we will become. These challenges will give us the courage to handle everything else that will be thrown at us. And picking the topic for this TED Talk was not a very easy process, mainly because I did not want to bring my personal experience and put myself in a vulnerable state. I hopped around from topics that interest me, like science and the way space worked, but ultimately I decided if I'm going to do this assignment, I'm going to do it right. I'm 2 weeks away from graduating soon. I'm off to college. So, 2 weeks away from graduating. Soon I'll be going to college, and then these 4 years have a lot of situations happened that have rattled my head. And now looking back on it while I was writing this TEDTalk, I could see how each individual situation has influenced me. Um, uh, so this is where we get a little bit sad. Recently, I went through a breakup, and I don't want to talk about. And it might be a little bit silly to say this right after a heart attack story, but I feel like it's something current that has happened to me, and it's something that I feel like a lot of you could relate to. It's been very rough. It's been sad, and the hardest part is coming to terms with that it might have been my fault for the relationship failure. My actions were not something I ever expected to do going into the relationship. But now coming out, I feel like there's a lot of positive to take from it. I now know what not to do, and I feel like I'm better at handling my emotions. Currently, I'm in the process of taking my own advice. I'm trying to get over somebody who meant a lot to me, and I'm also uh, learning that obstacles are not meant to destroy you. Obstacles are meant to strengthen you. And then I used to think, wow, life without problems, life without failure, life without complications would be paradise. But recently I've come to terms with that that diversity is unavoidable, and it is responsible for you being your best self. So for any of you in the audience, you guys look pretty supportive. For any of you, I'm sure you guys have gone through something. I'm sure some of you are going through something right now, and I'm just here to tell you guys to try to stay positive. Don't do anything stupid. Life, you are the obstacles you face. And then, yeah, I cried. Why are you laughing, bro? Okay, so like I was saying, some of you guys might be going something, and I could say the usual stuff like it will get better, or maybe something like I'm sorry you're feeling this way right now, and if that might help you, it may help you. It may help you. I don't know. I feel like it's okay to be sad, and I feel like sadness is a part of the process. I think that I feel like time heals everything, and I feel like you guys should set up a plan, acknowledge how you feel, make, bro, so smiling, acknowledge how you feel, and take your emotions into account. Make sure you work for it. No matter how small the step is, make sure you work for what you want. Make sure you work for your recovery. Make sure you work for anything. Because at the end of the day, progress, any type of progress is good progress. I found this thing online, or I didn't find this thing online. I saw this experiment where the guy grabbed a jar and he put golf balls in it. He tried to fill the jar with golf balls, pebbles, and sand. So how would you guys go about filling that jar up with those three things? Sand first? That's the wrong answer.
Golf balls first.
Golf balls.
Then sand.
Right?
Then the pebbles. Nah.
Yes, sir. Come on. Yeah. So you go golf balls first. So the space, leave space for the pebbles. And then you put the pebbles, and then leave space for the sand. And that was a great analogy because you could relate it to life. Life is like the jar. The golf balls are like the important things in life, like family, health. The pebbles were like the necessities, like a house, car, shelter, whatever I said, house. And the sand was the problems. If you put the sand first, you won't have space for the golf balls and the pebbles. Or if you put your problems first, you're gonna solve everything else in your life. You won't have room for your family. You won't have room for your job. You won't have room for anything. So I want you guys to try to take your problems and turn them into something positive. Maybe use your problems to fill up the golf balls first. Maybe work on your family, talk to your family, get help. They'll get closer to you, build something with them instead of isolating yourself and maybe go into not letting the golf balls reach all the jar. So I want you guys to hurt, but at the same time heal. Uh, Life is hard, like I said, and be strong.